Hi guys, today we're going to be working on the diagonal crocodile stitch. I'm going to be just working it up in this Red Heart Super Saver stripes. I believe this is the polo, polo stripe. The black, white, and yellow blanket that I did was a gift last Christmas. It was requested after I had made my father one the Christmas prior. It's a really, really nice blanket. It's very heavy, very warm, quite a substantial blanket. It's really nice and warm, and it works up to be pretty beefy. That one was worked in, I believe that was in Red Heart Love or Super Soft. So we're going to start with a slip knot. We're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to slip stitch into that first chain. So that's very much like we would be doing if we were making a loop. It's going to represent 2 double crochets. So now we are going to chain up 3. Now we're going to flip over. We're going to put in 4 more double crochets into that loop. That's 3, 4, and 5. All right, so that's half of it. We're going to chain 1. Now we're going to be working on this side of the loop, or the second double crochet, but this time I want you to pull your tail down and just grab a hold of it with the finger you're going to hold that, with the fingers that you're holding that stitch with. And this way, we're going to work that in, and we don't have to tie it. So we're going to do a double crochet, and we're going to make sure that when we go underneath that post, that we grab both the tail and the post. So, 1. Make sure you grab them both. It should be held in place now that you got it with the 1. 2. 3. It's always going to be a little awkward on this first one, as it is at the beginning of any pattern. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 1 more. Okay. Now we're just going to pull this just so it's taut. You don't want to pull it tight. You don't want to pull this down at all. You just want to make sure that it's good and straight. You don't want it bulging out of the top either. So we're going to take our scissors and we're just going to very carefully cut that tail off. Now we're all tied in. We don't even have to worry about that. So now we're going to chain 3. And we're going to put our second double crochet right into this spot. There we go. Then we're going to chain 1. And we're going to put a double crochet right in that center. Chain 1. And now just as this was the top, we worked into this top row, now we're going to work into this top row. So we're going to put in 2 double crochet in this top row. And now where we had this loop to work through, each of the doubles will become its own little loop, so to speak, or 2 posts. So now we're going to chain 3. We're going to put in 4 more double crochets onto this first post, just like we did in the last one. There's 3. And so that makes 4, and then we want to do one last one. Make the 4th double crochet, put the 5th all together. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work to the side, and we're going to fold it so that next post is sticking up. See how we just worked it through here? And now we've got this post to work. If we bend it right on that post, it makes it really easy to go right through the loop. So we're going to do 1. Let's try to pull them down to the bottom. There's 1 double crochet. We'll do 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's our first skill in our second row. Now, this is, some people do this, some people don't. I tend to like the way it looks better. So this is also the kind of pattern that you're going to move it around as you work it, because it's very hard. You're working backwards compared to how normally you would work, so it's a little awkward. So I usually just turn it sort of upside down, especially at the beginning. And right at the top of that post, I'm going to do a slip stitch. And that attaches it so it stays down. Instead of chaining 1, I slip stitch into that instead. Now we're going to be going on to these next 2 posts right here. We're going to work into this one, we're going to work down it, then we're going to work up it. So to work down it, we're going to turn this so that we're working basically on its side, bend it over at that between those 2, so you have just that first post out, and we're going to put a double crochet in that first post. We're going to put 4 more double crochet into that post, all while it's on its side. Feels very weird. As the blanket gets bigger, or as the piece, whatever you're making, gets bigger, it will start to feel a lot more normal. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 is our 5th. Okay, now we chain 1 and we turn it. So now we're working in this post here. We're going to put 5 double crochet in this post. There's our second row of scales. Now we chain 3. Now we're going to do a double crochet in that end, which is giving us our setup for that's how we increase, because we add our rows on. This yarn is atrocious. Chain 1, and then we put a single double crochet, 1 double crochet in the center of our scale. Now this is where it gets a little tricky if you do the crochet in like I do. You have to sort of find that same spot and put 2 double crochets. You get very used to it as you go, but as you're starting, it's a little tricky to find and can be a little tricky to get in and out of there, because you've got the other one there too. but you want that one to be with it. It'll be fine. It'll be covered up by another scale. Chain 1, and then put 1 double crochet in the center of that scale. Chain 1, and now we're going to do our last 2 double crochets on the top row of this scale. We've got our 2 double crochets here, or the middle of our loop, so we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to put in 4 more double crochets. Four, and a total of 5. And we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn it, and we're going to get into that loop now. Now here's where you have to be careful, because you don't want to get it stuck in any other loop. And trust me, in folding it, it's better to put your fingers in so you can keep a hold of it and you know right where it is. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Slide them down a little. And 5. We're going to find that center post, and we're going to slip stitch into it. There we go. And we're going to find the next 2. So we just slip stitched into this single one, and now here are the 2 doubles. So we're going to bend them so that only that middle one, or only that first one, is up. And we're going to do 5 double crochet into that post. Three, 4, 5, and we're going to chain 1. We're going to flip this over, and we're going to work up the other post. So 1, scooch that down, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to find that next single post, and we're going to slip stitch into that. We're going to fold it over and get that first double crochet bunched up. And we're going to put 5 double crochets in that. What did I do? Huh. Okay. See, that's where you have to be very careful to make sure you get it into the center of that loop, or between the 2 double crochets. All right. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you're going to chain 1 and turn it, and 5 more in here. See, it's a very easy It's very easy stitches. It's all basic stitches. It's just a matter of where you're putting them and how you're building them up. But once you get the hang of it, it's really a very easy pattern. But it's also quite impressive. People are always amazed by this pattern. I think they think it's much more complicated than it is. So it's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but it's not nearly as complicated as people may think it is. As you can see, that's how the pattern's working out. I just love this pattern. I've got you close up, and I'll do one more row close up so that you can see just again. Okay, so here we are. We're going to chain up 3. And we're going to put a double crochet right in here. And that makes the foundation for one of our next scales. And we're going to chain 1. We're going to put a double crochet right in the center of our scale. And we're going to chain 1. And we're going, this is the tricky part, so right here you can see, if you play peekaboo, there's a post right there. That's where you want to get up in here to do 2 more double crochets in the same chain. So we have 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. Now we're going to do our second one in that very same spot where we just did the first one. So they're in the same spot. And you can tell it's right at the same point where the other 2 scales join up. It's right there at that same point. So then we chain 1. We do a double crochet in the center of that next scale. And this is our total repeat pattern. This is all we're going to be doing all the way up. You build a foundation, then you put scales on it. Then you build a foundation, then you put scales on it. So we did our 1, we chain 1. And we find that center post. Find where we hit it up above with the slip stitch. We do a double crochet right into that same spot. 1 and 2. We chain 1, put 1 double crochet in the center of that last scale, and then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work right in the top row of this last scale and put 2 double crochets. Okay, we're going to chain 3, 2, 3, and in that post we're going to put 4 more double crochet. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a chain 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet for a total of 5 double crochet. We're going to chain 1. We're going to separate that second post right there and fold it over. Now we're going to put in 5 double crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, you can see my tension is pretty gnarly, so try to do it much more loose than I do. And we're going to flip it here. We can see that single chain that's coming up. We're going to slip stitch into the top of that to connect. There we go. And we're going to now go on to our next. We're going to fold it the other way and pick out our post. And now we're going to work double crochets into that post. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5. We're going to do a single chain. We're going to flip it over. We're going to isolate that next post. And we're going to put 5 double crochets in that post. Right through. 2, 3, that's 4, and one last. 5. Okay, now we're going to see where that single post is, and we're going to slip stitch right into there. And again, with this pattern, you work it the way that's most comfortable to you, because it is awkward, especially at the beginning. So I got it through. I'm going to yarn over and pull them through both loops. And now it's connected. Now we're going to flip back over again. And we're going to double crochet 5 double crochets into this post. There's 2. There's 3. Always making sure we're just going through that one post. We're not hooking anything up as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 1. Flip it around. Isolate that post. Anytime you're doing this, anytime you work down one post, there should always be a second post to work up. If there's no post to work up, you went into the wrong post to begin with, and you need to pull it out and fix it. And you will do that. It will happen. Especially if you're making a big blanket and you're picking it up and putting it down, or if you're just not paying real close attention, you will try to work that post. It's just gonna happen. So now we put a slip stitch in the top of that single post right there, and we flip it around again. We look for the 2 posts here at the end, and we put 5 double crochets in the first one, working down the blanket or down the post. I think that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And single crochet, and we flip it and we work up this last post with 5 more double crochet. 2, 3, 4, well, that was a little weird, and 5. Okay. Now, I don't block many of my blankets, but with this blanket, I sort of do block it. I don't block it in the traditional sense of blocking. I lay down a towel first before I put the blanket down, or a couple towels, and then I place the blankets on top. I give them a little spray with Dreft mixed with lukewarm water, and I do small sections at a time so that I can straighten them out, push them down nice, and as soon as I get them the way I like, I spray another little section and do it there, and another little section until I've covered enough room where another towel can go down on top, which will help sort of dry it out from the top as well. And that's how I sort of block this blanket. You know, of course, you do a little stretching and a little floofing and a little straightening out, pushing down all your scales. That's the pattern. And it works up really pretty. I don't know if you can, on here, if you can see just how thick that is. It's a very thick pattern. Well, I hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, please like it. Thanks. Have a good day, guys.